Welcome back to Top Dogs. In today's episode, we'll embark on the journey into the shadows, exploring haunted hideaways and paranormal phenomena. We'll be sharing our experiences and unravel the mysteries lurking in the unseen corners of our world. It's just not our stories, but even videos we have encountered. I'm Stream ArcaDad.
And I'm Whiplash Wolf.
Now, today, Fiction is not going to be with us today. He had a medical emergency with us concerning his sister. He told me not to worry. Everything is under control, so sadly, he won't be here for today. So it's only going to be me and Whiplash. So to start off, Whiplash, have you ever visited a place that is said to be haunted? Can you share your experience?
So, I feel like I have. It's just, have I experienced anything myself? I have not. Because where I live at is the second oldest settlement in America. And where I live at, there's quite a few buildings that are hundreds of years old. At least 100. I think the oldest one we have is like 200 years old. I'm sure there are some, like, haunted aspects of these buildings, but have I ever tried going out to find it myself? No. Do I want to, though? Yes.
Me personally, I was actually invited by my sister, who is a TV show producer. She's been doing it for a few years now, and she's been absolutely enjoying it. And I'm a very skeptical person concerning like paranormal activities, and she invited me to visit the Randolph County Asylum in Winchester. And I gotta say, it was quite an experience. I still don't believe in ghosts, but nonetheless, there were some really odd things that happened that made it quite interesting, let's just say. We're gonna go into more details later on going through the episode. I'll tell more about that, but this is the only place I've been so far. Now, I know my sister wants to bring me to other episode. I ended up being a very valuable asset because of my tinkering skill. I've actually ended up making gadgets on the fly to help us with our ghost investigation, which ended up being really fun, pulling out my MacGyver side. Sorry about that. It's always something I find really fun, and it's fun to make new tools, and people appreciate what you do, and it helps with the investigation. I know she wants me to bring me to other places. I don't know the list exactly, but yeah, I'm looking forward to more recording with the episodes and stuff. So I'm gonna ask you, Whiplash, what is the most haunted area location near you, and can you tell us stories about it?
So, where we have is actually been on. We have a lighthouse that's been on Ghost Adventures, and what's that other show that was on Sci-Fi for a long time? It was like Ghost Hunters or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I don't perfectly remember, but it sounds about that.
So we have a lighthouse. It is, I think 100. I think it was built in like 1820s. So it was a very, very, very old lighthouse. Our family, they used to live there, and is it kind of weird, like how some of these stories have like a person in a family that goes insane and kills their family?
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened here. So there's a story that there's a girl in the white dress, like fucking The Grudge almost, but not like The Grudge, that you can see walking down the staircase of the stairwells inside the lighthouse, or if you're from the outside, sometimes she'll be standing at the very top on the outside, just looking down at you. I know, right? And then there's also, since there's wooden boards, there's floorboards in the lighthouse. There is a spot on the boards themselves that is just dry blood, and anytime it gets like cleaned up, like, and there's no more like dry blood on the like floorboards, they just reappear out of nowhere. So they've just put a rug over it to keep it hidden from like people who go there, tourists. Like they hide it away so tourists can actually see it unless they show it to them. I actually haven't been there myself. I just know that it's a very, very like well haunted place that we have here.
Have you ever actually considered visiting it? And how far is it from you?
It's not that far. It's like maybe a 35-minute drive. It's just, I want to go, but I also want to go with friends. But just like my friends, they're also skeptical about, the afterlife as you are. Or at least ghosts existing. I just want to go just to see him, alright? Like, I would love to do just like a night visit there, if I could. If I see a ghost, if I get the shit scared out of me, hey, whatever. I'll believe it, and I'll never sleep again.
I think it would be fun. Honestly, for having tried it myself, being part of a paranormal investigation, it is quite interesting. And I think the funniest part is those people that truly believe how easily freaked out they get over the tiniest thing is a whole comedy show in itself. It's quite funny. Actually, my sister has some footage where we put the guy in the basement, and there was a woman that took her own life because she couldn't stand being there anymore, and she was abandoned by her family and everybody. And apparently you can actually legitimately talk to her, and we had a REM pod going on, and the REM pod tripped when he asked her a question, and he freaked out and he started running, and we had security cameras with microphones, and we just like busted our butts laughing. It was so funny. I'll go into more detail about that scene, but that was super epic. It was one of the highlights of the show. I never saw that guy run so fast. It was crazy. My most haunted... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say about that, like, I don't understand the afterlife, if ghosts are real or not, but in a scenario where someone took their own life and you're by yourself in a very dark spot in a basement when it's night outside and you can't see, I feel like there's a lot of like aspects in that time where you're very what's it called, you're open, like you're God, how am I not thinking of this word right now? Your body will believe anything. Your mind will believe anything that exists. So if you hear one small little thing, or like you said, your guys heard that thing trip off, your mind is immediately going to go from like 60 to like 1,000 immediately.
Oh yeah, it sure does. Oh man, in my area, I've looked it up. I haven't really looked up for haunted places in my area. I don't really know, but I did a bit of research, and there's apparently a place called the Holy Trinity Church in Quebec City. Apparently, anywhere from Quebec City to Montreal, which is in the province of Quebec in Canada, there's about 10 places, but the Holy Trinity Church was one of the most popular ones. I don't fully know its backstory, but apparently it's one of the most popular in my area, and I might look into it with my sister and go. A word of advice: if you heard about some place that has some paranormal activity, please do not go alone. Always go with some people. Bring some flashlight, bring some warm clothing, and make sure your batteries are fully charged, because apparently when you go to places where there's paranormal activity, the batteries unexpectedly just drain themselves. So bring like a USB battery pack or like a battery backup, and you leave it in your car, not inside the haunted place, so that if something happened, you're able to contact the authorities if something were to happen. But yeah, this church is somewhat interesting. I would definitely have to look up about it and do a bit more digging and see if I'm willing to go with some friends. But definitely going on paranormal investigation is really a fun thing to do. It's kind of scary, but please do not go alone. So Whiplash, has there been any media videos you have stumbled upon, whether it be YouTube, TikTok, etc., that have like scary videos? Like, what's like the creepiest thing you've seen happen on those videos online?
Like, are we talking about like realistic like videos, people actually going out on hunts, or were you talking about like people just making scary fake videos to just scare people with?
Yeah, I've noticed there's a lot of fake videos out there, and I'm very skeptic about paranormal activity. Sadly, I believe that once it's over, and there's no such thing as souls. But I do believe that there's an energy among us, something that we don't truly understand. You know, when you have little voices inside you that says, like, you shouldn't do this because something's bad's gonna happen. And then you actually listen and actually something bad happened. Now, I do believe that there's something going on that we don't fully understand, but spirits to me are a bit like, yeah, doesn't make much sense. So every time I see like paranormal activity videos and they've been shows and stuff, I love to try to understand how they actually made it happen. And my mother ended up showing me a few episodes on TV where it looked really, really believable until I paused the video at the right moment and I saw the infrared light from the night vision cameras reflect off a fishing line that was pulling a piece of wood across the room and a chair. And I was like, I knew it was fake. And you can tell, because it's a very linear motion that follows that blip, and it's just that camera just tilting down a tiny bit and you see that flash of light. It's really obvious. That's the thing with infrared lights, is that you're able to see things that normally you don't, and it's a double-edged sword, and people didn't anticipate that. And when they walk up to rooms and they, oh, look, there's a ritual, there's posters, and they have those tiny little candle lights, and they're all lit up as they walk into the room. The thing is, those candles, they only last 2 to 4 hours. So clearly somebody that was there before that lit them up. So usually when I see those videos, I'm very skeptic. But the ones that trip me the most are when I'm seeing people being lifted off their bed or like clothes fly off the room. That is kind of thing that I can find trippy at times. Have you seen any of those before?
Yeah, I've seen those. Like, I've seen compilations on YouTube where it's like, some of them, it's like those top 15, top 10s, top 6, like something, blah, 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 this. Some of them are very well done. I will give them that. Some of them are very well done. And then some of them are very hard to explain if it's real or not. That's the ones that get you. Like, either it's realistic, like it's real, something happened, or people were just very good at production.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I guess there are people who would go that far to actually fool someone. Also, I just kind of looked up like more haunted places around where I live at. I actually can't believe I forgot about quite a few places. We have 2 forts actually where I live at that were used during the Civil War. So those have been like known to be very haunted because the Confederate soldiers, a lot of people died there.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So those we have a church, but of course, why would a church not be haunted? 2 cemeteries, a Sanger Theater, which I've been to actually that theater. It's a very old building. It's nice on the inside, but you kind of get like cold like breezes sometimes through that place, which is kind of weird. I don't question it, but it's like, huh, interesting. Not the AC system, because it doesn't have AC.
Yeah, there's definitely some places you walk into and you feel this really weird vibe. When I went to the Randolph County Asylum, the moment I walked into that room, the way it's structured actually is this asylum or infirmary was meant for people that couldn't work, or they were very ill and they were going to die at some point, or people that couldn't take care of them. They had this asylum or infirmary, but it was not just crazy people. It was regular people, retired people, and they had 3 floors with 2 separate wings, but 2 separate halves, and there was a long concrete wall that would separate both halves. One was for the men and women, one was female women, and the other one was for men. And the top floors were the more like normal everyday Joe people. Then as you went down to the bottom floors, that's where the more people that were mentally unstable, people that were under quarantine because they had a very contagious disease, they were there. And everybody had kind of their thing going on, and they had the attic was actually like the gym space. It was a very, very open space. And it's just crazy. These environments, man. You walk into these places and then the guy gives you a tour during daylight and it explains every single room, who they were, who lived in them and what happened, and you get this chill in your body. It's really something. Like, you can feel it. It's really crazy. It's hard to explain, but like it's quite a unique experience. Whiplash, why do you think people are so fascinated by haunted places and ghost stories?
I think it comes to a point where people see like this old building that's been abandoned, it has overgrowth now, and it just looks dark. It just looks like it has some secrets holding within it. Like, it's quite old. There's some people who could be dead. They believe in, like, maybe they believe in afterlife, so they believe that some spirits may not cross over that border to the afterlife, and they're just stuck in what's that in between called? I can't remember.
I know what's the word in French. I don't know what it is in English, but in French it's called les limbes. Limbe. Limbe.
If Sakura doesn't mind just putting in front the word of the day, wherever that word is.
The word of the day. Or ask Lewis is gonna put in the video edit. He's been doing a fantastic job editing our videos.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think it's part of because of the mystery and like what's going on, if it's gonna happen to them or not?
Yeah, like if whenever they pass, do they think they actually will go into whatever they believe in? Like, if, let's say if there's a heaven and hell, does someone go to hell, someone goes to heaven? Oh, purgatory. That's what it's called, purgatory.
Yes.
Yes, if someone believes they're going to stay in purgatory, and just like how some of these people will just sit there and just haunt either like their loved ones, or maybe they die in a certain spot, and it's not at their house, maybe it's somewhere on the side of the road, because I've seen also videos like that themselves, or maybe it's like in a hotel room. Like, there's so many different spots where you see all this activity happen at.
Yeah. I think people, the reason why they're so fascinated by haunted places and ghost stories is just like the fact that it's just out of the common. Like, it's so weird, it's unusual, you can't explain it. Bunch of random crazy stuff happen, and I think people are very curious because they kind of want to see it with their own eyes. Like with media nowadays, mostly with AI, it's so easy to fake a lot of footage and make up stuff and special effects. And I think a lot of people are kind of skeptic, even though they see the video, they kind of like, I wish I could feel how it's like and be there. So I think a lot of people are curious towards that. But just a lot of people wonder about what happens once you pass away, and some people do believe in purgatory and have hopes that maybe they can reach out to these people and try to understand what they've been through. But I think just the mystery and the curiosity is really what drives people to try to figure out and understand what's going on. And I gotta be honest, I'm kind of guilty, because even though I don't believe in ghost stories, there's like those supernatural things happening that I've seen, and I'm like, damn, how is that even possible? How do you see that?
I know, right?
Yeah. Do you know about any of the tools that they use when they do the investigation? Because I know a few, but I'm curious to know if you know any of the common tools they use for paranormal activity investigations.
So, besides playing Phasmophobia,
which is a good starting point. It's a good starting point. Yes, I love Phasmophobia. I never play alone like that. Sorry, my language.
To be fair, though, it is like in VR chat, not VR chat, but in VR, oh my god, Phasmophobia is terrifying, especially the way it is now. Like, I used to play that game religiously, and it was fun. It was fun. I'd go to the ghost and be like, you ain't gonna get me, and then like they started updating the game, and now I'm like, I can't run that far. I'm gonna die. It's like the running in that game is like you're doing it so you get scared to run away from the ghost. But it's like in real life, like if you ran out of stamina that fast, you'd be like a 700-pound person trying to run away. Like, it's not It's not how that would be. I would break myself through the window of the house if I had to.
Oh my God.
Just dive through it.
I'm getting the heck out of here. It just dives out the window. Man, I played this game a few times. We should play all three together. I think it would be very interesting. Maybe we could do a Halloween episode or something. I think that would be great.
We should.
Sakura is on board with us.
Sakura, let's do it.
I mean, yeah, I think it would be funny. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, to answer your question, yes. So, EFM reader, I know that one for sure. I've seen that like in the shows and such. I use that. I like to use a spirit box, which I'm not sure what they like terminally call it. I just know that's what it's called for us to understand, to speak to the dead. And then what is it? What else was it? I'm not going to take all the things from like the game, because I feel like some of the things from a game is just meant for the game itself, like, you know, the writing, handwriting. Because we know some ghosts like to just like push things off edges, or maybe move something across the ground, or maybe flicker a light, or have a ghost orb go past a camera. And then people like to say it's either a dust particle or, you know, actual spirit orb going across, stuff like that.
Yeah. From personal experience doing the investigation, we used a few tools, but one of the main one we used the most was the REM pod. Now, the REM pod is actually a device with an antenna that detects proximity. It changes in capacitance. Now, everybody is connected to the ground, and as you get closer to a metal surface, you create capacitance, which stores energy. Now, the REM pod has five states: an idle, a first level of proximity, second, third, and fourth. There was also a temperature sensor, but that thing kept going off all the time. And from my experience, when we put the REM pod in the basement where the lady that was going kind of crazy because she had syphilis, and back then it was something you could, you know, die from, she was kind of going insane, and when she took her own life, we actually used the REM pod to try to communicate with her. And by asking questions, we've reached level 3 on the REM pods, and the guys were absolutely losing their minds because as paranormal investigators, they never had that result before. So it was really crazy and kind of got the adrenaline pumping for sure. We had microphones with high sensitivity that always helped to pick up background noises. We didn't have any RFM readers, but we had spirit boxes, which are little boxes with antennas, and with different radio frequencies, they have a bank of word that will show on the screen and be spoken out loud. There's also the thing with the radio frequency that keeps switching radio frequencies and then will randomly shoot words. Now, this device, I don't really like it. I don't feel like it does anything. It's just random to me. But the spirit box with the word was one of the other things that freaked us out the most, because we asked question and it actually answered stuff that actually made sense with our questions. So that was quite a unique experience. There's also been a new device on the market. The last one I want to talk about is they use a Kinect, and the Kinect is able to trace skeleton figures when it sees shapes in 3D. And apparently there was a guy that used to kind of pose like this next to a chimney, and I stood by, and apparently the guy was standing on my head at some point. But kind of felt a little bit bonkers to me. The thing is, an electronic device is not going to prove anything to me. If I see like a water tap starting to turn and then start dripping, or like a winter coat just goes flying, like, to me that's actual paranormal activity. But electronic gadget, I'm always skeptical. So yeah. What was your favorite gadget to use in Phasmophobia? What was the one that you used the most?
I like using the EMFM reader because it kind of gives you like an actual like reading depending on where they may be at in the house, like depending if it's like 2, 3, 4, 5. Like if you get a sort of reading, it could be in that general vicinity of the house or area of the house. So it gives you an idea. Now, since I haven't played the game in a hot minute, I'm not sure if they'd like updated that so it was much more harder to understand.
I'm not sure. I haven't played it for a little while. It's been kind of long for me.
It's been a year for me, so I'm pretty sure if we go play, we're not gonna win the first. We're probably not gonna win the entire night. Unless we get a ghost that's just too scared to come out.
Is there a place or is there a haunted place that you'd like to visit or at some point in your life, or it's you're kind of like, nah, this is way too scary for me, I'm not going? Like some place you've heard a lot of stories about.
So, not like places I've heard about. Okay, so there's like a few places I remember seeing like on the Travel Channel when I used to watch it religiously. But okay, anywhere else, like I wouldn't mind not going into an asylum because I feel like that's the one spot if there were to be like paranormal activity because of what people go through there. And you feel like those people's lives were horrible, so they're probably, if they were stuck in purgatory, it would definitely be at a, asylum. But have you heard about the Winchester house?
No.
The person who invented the Winchester rifle. So apparently all the people, or most of the people who were killed by a Winchester rifle or anything made by Winchester, haunted the husband who invented the company. They're not the husband, they haunted his wife at their house. And apparently she heard voices in the house, and they pretty much told her to keep building onto the house until she died to satisfy the souls that were killed by her husband's weapons. And it's considered to be a very, very haunted place. And it's weird because the way she like constructed the building, there are stairwells that lead to nowhere, there are doors that go to nowhere. It's a very interesting place to go to. Like, I can't remember where it's at, but that's one place I'd like to go to. But around me, I was talking about the forts earlier. I feel like, Civil War was definitely a hellacious time in history. And people were just killed like nothing. So being able to go to one of the forts around where I live at would probably be a very intriguing section, because I've been to them before in the daytime, and there are spots you just walk through that are just cold in summertime, like immensely cold. Yeah, you get a weird feeling when you go into the forts because of the history they have.
Yeah. What do you think about some of the I'm gonna bring up the gadgets again, but I've just thought of something. But do you think that there's gadgets that they use that are completely bonkers to you, that doesn't prove anything to you, in your opinion?
I feel like sometimes, I'm not sure, I don't know like the very like mechanics behind it. But like sometimes you feel like with like talking to spirits through, electromagnetic waves, that sometimes maybe they may be interfered by something else. It could cause a voice to come through. Or, just something like that. Because electronics can sometimes have, miscommunications with something else in the house. Like there could be objects in the house that cause that to go off. Now I'm not sure like what object, but I feel like anything that uses electronics, they could possibly do that. Because there's been like a lot of like whenever they do these ghost adventures that sometimes they try to prove that there was no ghost, depending on what's in that room or what's around the place itself that could cause it.
Yeah. I know the spirit box is the one that projects, like tells you word. It's very important. It says on the manual to not carry any sort of electronic devices. So we got rid of our phones and everything. The only thing we had in hand was a camera, because we needed to get point of view of everything. The thing with the radio that like randomly says word, I feel it's just random and you can draw any conclusion. Because most people, they kind of, answer their own questions. They're looking for something, for certain answers, and they will give it a logical explanation so that it makes sense. So any sort of gadget that allows for ambiguity like that is off the chart. And it's the maglite flashlight, where you kind of twist just on the edge of turning on, and then you ask questions, and they're like, okay, if you're here, turn on the flashlight, and then the flashlight goes on. Like, okay, turn off the flashlight, and then it turns off. That's a false contact. That's what I deal with in my everyday job, dealing with false contact. To me, it doesn't prove anything, because the flashlight at some point just kept going on and off and on and off and on and off. It's just made no sense to me. That was the one tool that I truly don't believe works at all. But Some people, they use Ouija boards too. That's always subjective too. I don't know.
I would say,
but
I would agree with you. Like, I feel like we need something like physical to happen, like a chair move, maybe a door opens, maybe, like you said, maybe something gets thrown. Like something physical like that would probably freak me the fuck out.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been looking through my experiences. I'm like, I want to see something move. I don't want an electronic device to tell me there's a ghost here. No, that's not enough for me. I need evidence. I need scientific facts. And the problem is, I find with these devices is that how do you make a tool that is based off theories? Now, there's no actual science because we haven't captured a ghost to test things on. It's just people are making speculation. Turns out it's working, and I think through trial and error they got something working. But at the base of it, how can you prove something that it works? Because something like that you should be able to reproduce the result multiple times. Now, it seems to me that it's sometimes random. I do admit that through my personal investigation, I've noticed that there were some weird patterns happening, and it was really freaking creepy, and I got goosebumps out of it, and the people were screaming, and I was laughing at them, which was great in itself. But yeah, it's I don't know, man. I'm still very skeptical, but I want to be proven wrong. I want to be proven wrong. I think it's interesting, and my sister told me that I brought a different aspect to the show. She was recording and an alternative thinking on the situation, what it could have triggered thing. Have you had like anything happen to you that you couldn't explain at all? Like a weird event that happened, and it's like, how's that even possible?
I mean, it's a possibility. It's just I can't remember anything because, like, sometimes, like, your mind will think of something else that will, cross that out. Like, it couldn't be anything paranormal. It's just something like the wind, or maybe there was someone else there who did it, and they just, like, went away somewhere quickly. It's like your mind tries to think of reasons instead of, like, immediately going to the opposite side of reasoning. It's like, oh, it's a paranormal activity. There's someone here that I can't see. So, I mean, I can't really tell. I mean, I've really never been to, like, a place after dark, apparently, when all the paranormal activity happens, because I've always been with friends. Maybe the closest thing, possibly, is going through the forts, and it's just cold. Like, it's cold in summertime. You feel like, it has stone walls and everything, but it's 105 degrees outside, and it's chilly inside the fort. That shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, it's there's some weird stuff sometimes like that happens. It's hard to explain. It's like, okay, maybe it's a wind gust, but yeah, there's no windows. That's not even possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so guys, just a reminder, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell, as it will notify us every time we post a new video or content online. Follow us on our audio platforms and leave us a rating, as that will help us out a lot. Remember to join our Discord and Telegram chat. Links for all of these are in the link tree down below in the description. And if you don't do that, Whiplash is going to threaten you with something. Oh no.
You better go subscribe to all our audio platforms, or I'm gonna come haunt your house by eating all your chips.
Oh no. Not my chips. These are my favorite. Please don't. No!
Nothing wrong. Oh my god.
And they're gone. Alright guys, so we're calling all our Top Dogs fan. You want some cool stuff? You can by subscribing to our server subscription on Discord or Patreon. Become a podcast supporter today to get exclusive raw and uncut footage of your favorite podcast episodes. Join supporter meetups and talk with the podcast team and other podcast supporters. Plus, get a custom-made paw emoji and other goodies that come with our $2.99 a month subscription. But wait, there's more. Upgrade to the Podcast Supporter Plus and get episode voting, supporter feedback, and be part of the live audience for only $5.99 a month. Plus, get sneak peeks of upcoming ideas, merchandising, and more. You don't have to join these subscriptions, but it does help us out a lot. And for everyone that has subscribed, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. So, after all you've been through, Whiplash, do you, like, from what you heard, what you've seen, do you believe in supernatural events, or are you a skeptic? Have you changed? Has your view changed over the years?
It is kind of hard. Like, since I actually have never like experienced it myself yet, I'm not sure what to actually think of. Like, I can look at all the videos online and feel like, huh. It's hard to explain, or even just think of like other reasonings and be like, huh, that's obviously fake. I would like to like try to question my mindset and actually go to one of these places and actually see it for myself. To actually get some questionings going on there. But at the moment, I'm still like, I'm stuck in the middle. I don't believe there's anything in the afterlife, but I don't know. Same time, you can't really know. You don't know until anything happens, until you pass away, and then you'll find out for yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's an unprecise and unexact science that has results that are really hard to reproduce. They're completely random. They can happen for multiple reasons. I like to find logic between every single event I've witnessed. From the paranormal investigation that I've been through, we've recorded 9 occurrences of paranormal activity, and I was there for 7 of them. And I was sent there to be just a camera operator, a technician, and I ended up making wireless microphones, high sensitivity microphone, high sensitive microphone setups with cameras. I ended up being part of the investigation more than I was supposed to. And even at the end of the investigation, those hallways, man, they're really long and they're really goddamn dark. And at the end, we had placed like cameras at the end of each hallways, and you could see the halo of the infrared lights. At the end of the investigation, it was 4 or 5 in the morning. I was so desperate to have something physical happen that I was legitimately walking down those hallways, those 6 hallways in totals, no flashlight, just looking at the camera and just walking. And I was like, come at me, bro. Sadly, nothing happened. I kind of wish it did, because I've heard report where if you would say that this person is a whore and she did it on purpose, even though she got, sexually, it was other people that were doing stuff to her, she would get really frustrated, and apparently she would push you against the walls. And I was trying to get that to happen and just never did. And I want to be proven wrong. Sadly, I don't, but I'm open-minded to be proven wrong. And I'm actually looking forward to the next experience if my sister does decide to invite me. Apparently her team really liked me a lot.
You know what?
I think maybe it would
probably
be fun
me
to
too.
do.
It'd probably be me too. It's like, if you get there like 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, get started on your investigation, and then you work all the way through the morning and nothing happens, you probably just get like, you want to satisfy your want or need. I'd probably do the same thing. I'd probably just try to find like the most aggravating thing to make them do something to me. Just the one. I just wanted to know it happens. I just want to know if you exist. I just want to know something is there. And instead of just like, just nothing happening, because then you're just gonna be like, huh, I guess this was a dud, maybe we should go somewhere else and try it again.
Yeah. Honestly, at the same time, I kind of wish like there was some way to contact spirits and it was actually a thing. I could actually reach out to my father and maybe have a conversation with him and see how he's doing, or maybe talk with Thunder, see how he's doing in doggy paradise. I think that would be great. Can't really talk with him, but just interact would be great. But oh well, it's life, and we got to move on. It's not easy, but there's some people that passed away that would love to know their story because they've been through a lot of stuff. That's the one thing where if you go to a haunted place and there's actually people that are taking care of the place to make sure it doesn't goes to shambles and just crumbles, they will actually give you a tour and explain you the story of what's been going on. And I think that's a really key element if you're going to go to a haunted place, because it's going to really set the mood for the investigation, and you'll know what to look for. They'll tell you usually what happens, and you can usually like filter what's going to happen, what you believe or not. But yeah.
That's true. That's very true. You know, I kind of thought about just going to graveyards too. Because, I mean, nothing says spooky like a graveyard at night.
Yeah. Mostly when there's this morning fog that settles on top of the grass when it's like 4 or 5 or 6. That gets really creepy. So, if you would go on a paranormal investigation, what would you bring in your tool bag? What would be your set?
I do have a GoPro. I'd probably just take a GoPro with me. Just have a chest mounted GoPro. I mean, I'm not sure how much like ghost equipment is. Maybe I would buy like something like an electronic reader. Maybe
they're very expensive. I can tell you. Just that EMF reader from Phasmophobia. Very simple device with like 6 LEDs or 5. It's $200. Not even kidding. It's absolutely outrageous. But it's such a niche thing. And there's not a lot of people that buy them, so there's still like a lot of these devices that you buy, they're actually handmade. Some of them, like the circuit has been made. It's like acrylic and ABS, like a REM pod. They were like a 4-inch ABS lid with a plexiglass. The spirit box was actually 3D printed, but it worked pretty well. So it really depends. But if you don't consider budget, like you would bring a GoPro, what else would you bring?
You know what? Don't consider budget. Then probably an EFM reader, maybe, you know, a radio box to actually be able to talk with someone that's dead. And I know something about infrared light can also help with situations. I don't know how. I'd have to probably look up more information about that myself. Just cameras set up around, you know what, like a camera to set up in every single room, because why not? Full coverage. Unless it's an asylum, because that'd be expensive.
Yeah. It can get pricey pretty quickly. Personally, if I were to do this experiment again, having a security system, a camera security system that you can deploy really quickly with cables and just make it work, to me that's an absolute must. And you need to have cameras that have the microphone on them, because it can be a key element. A hypersensitive microphone with like live feedback that you can listen to with a recorder would be something I would bring. The REM pods were really efficient during our investigation. The EMF readers could work. We didn't really use them. The spirit box was absolutely a must for me, in my opinion. Walkie-talkies. If you're going to be with a team, walkie-talkies are a must as well. Any sort of way to transmit audio wirelessly would be really good. If you get those lavaliers, that would be a good thing, though everybody could connect to a central station and have an operator that takes care. And everybody with infrared night vision cameras. GoPros are good. The only drawback is that they only do color. They don't do night vision, and if you use an infrared spotlight with the camera, you won't see anything because they have an infrared lens filter on the inside of the lens that makes it so that you can't see at night. That would probably be the thing. I would also get a lot of documentation ahead of time, just doing research. Don't necessarily needs to take note, but just to have a lot of research to know exactly what I'm getting into. And get a good sleeping mattress as well, because when it's going to be 5 or 6 in the morning and the investigation is going to be done, you're going to be tired as hell. And bring plenty of snacks. I had Katie cups, my craft dinner cups on the go to take in the microwave. Those are delicious. I discovered something new. Very bad for your health, but they're still great.
Anything good is bad for you.
Depends. It depends. Oh man, there's so much things. There's so much thing I would love to talk about the episode. Can I tell you what's the weirdest thing that happened during your investigation? The ultimate weirdest thing that happened to me that even scared me a little bit.
What's that?
So There are 4 floors in total, including if you're going to the attic. And we did a bit of back and forth going up the ladder, the stairs, to set up equipment. And at some point, we decided to talk with the judge that does those mock trials on the top floor as a fun thing to just entertain himself, because he used to be a judge and retired, and so he would do those mock trials. And apparently if we would gather in the circle, we could actually legitimately ask him questions. So we decided to, like, my sister and somebody brought a camera rolling, and they had the spirit box, and they started asking questions. It's like, hey, how's it going? Is there anything going on? And then all of a sudden it said deal in front of the thing. So they were like, okay, you want to do a deal about what? And then right before that, people started complaining that their legs hurt and they were tired. And I just had a car accident and I had a busted knee. I was still able to run and do stuff, but it was kind of sore. I was recovering. So it was really odd. So we started the investigation. Then he said deal. And then my sister asked more about it. And they said legs, and everybody like freaked out because everybody's leg was hurting. Like, these are people that do training, and they're in shape. They're very fit. So it was just like crazy, and the guys just freaked out, yelled, and started running down in the basement. So my sister and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take over, because I was watching the cameras when it happened, so it was really funny. So I grabbed a camera and went up with my sister, and I didn't know it was leg. No, wait, what was it? I think it was another word that spooked them out. And then my sister, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go up there, I'm gonna go check out. And my sister was like, okay, I'll go back upstairs with you. So I grabbed a camera, I went up, and as I grab the spirit box to check what's going on, it said leg. I'm like, I look at my sister, look what it's saying, and it says leg, and we were freaking out because everybody was complaining about their legs, and I just put it down, and it was unique. It was really crazy. I don't remember all of the details, but I know it said other words that were really fitting with the situation. So yeah, it's kind of crazy what happens sometimes. Oh man, those places, they're a complete mystery for me. I wish we find a way to explain this. Do you think, like, at some point, like, we're gonna find a way to explain these things, or are we gonna find like an absolute science that proves everything? Do you think we'll be able to do that at some point, or it will always be a mystery?
I mean, you've seen how much technology has grown in 20 years? It'll probably happen one day. It'll happen one day. Maybe not before our time, but I feel like for sure one day it'll happen. But someone will find a way to be able to just go to a place and just conjure a spirit up without any like hassle, or if it exists.
Yeah, I don't know for me, honestly. I mean, our science is developing at a really fast rate, though we have reached a plateau on certain technologies, but there's some other technologies that are going through the roof. Maybe with AI we'll be able to figure something out. Maybe they'll guide us on a certain path to discovery. I don't know. I feel like it's always going to be kind of a mystery, because it's like one of the oldest questions on Earth is what happens after life. And I think it's going to take a very, very, very long time, but I definitely feel like there's an energy that binds us and connects us. Because I don't know for you, but have you ever had like situations where like, oh, I'm trying to make this thing happen and it just doesn't want to work, and like I'm trying to book this trip, for example, and it's like, oh, my credit card has been refused. Oh, it's not working. And then all of a sudden I'm making a post on Facebook. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to Spain for this date and this date. The day before my card gets reactivated, and then my best friend reaches out to me and she's like, wait, there's my wedding coming up. You can't miss that. I'm like, oh my God, I almost booked a trip before and missed my friend's wedding. Like, what are the odds, like, my card's failing and me reaching out on the internet? And like, figuring this out. And then I get contact saying like, no, there's like my wedding going on, you can't book it now. And I was like, this is just crazy. Have you ever had like situations like these happen? Like, what are the odds it happens?
Not really. I mean, if I can't, maybe it has. Like I said, I just can't remember it. My long-term memory is not that good unless it's like hit me very hard to the point where it's like stuck in my memory for the entirety of my life. But situations like that, I don't really think so.
I've had so many of those happen. It's kind of insane. There's a friend of mine, the person I've been to the wedding to, always like that. Like when things are not supposed to happen, they just don't happen, and all of a sudden they happen in another way, and it just makes the whole situation better. It's just crazy for me. What was the thing? I wanted to ask you a question. Damn it. Let me ask you this thing. Would you prefer to explore haunted places alone or with a group, and why? I know I mentioned earlier that it's safer to go with a group, but if you ignore that advice, would you do it alone or with somebody?
I would probably do it with somebody first. Like, I don't feel like I have enough, I don't think I have to go as to go by myself, first of all, because I'm not like that confident that nothing exists. So I'd probably would want to share that with some other friends, just in case.
It's really weird because I'm not scared of ghosts or anything, but yet at the same time, I would not go alone just in case that 0.01% chance something happened. I'm like, I'm not a gambler at all. I would just never go alone, just to make sure something unexpected happens. But you gotta admit though, the thrill of going and not knowing what's gonna happen, oh man, it gets your adrenaline pumping for sure. It's quite the rush. Just for the excitement, whether you believe in ghosts or not, it's worth it. But make sure you go with a group of friends. If you would go with friends, would you have fun pranking them? Would you do like pranks to them to scare them, or you would be like very professional and try not to scare them off?
So here's the thing: is I like scaring my friends regardless because I think it's fun. So I probably would take an opportunity to just like creep up on them, because the one thing I can do somehow, some way, is I can walk silently if I want to. So I can like be very quiet with my steps.
Silent death scare.
Yes.
Oh man, I would totally. I didn't do anything when I was there to prank people, but I kind of felt like it sometimes. But I'm like, look, I'm new to this team. They don't know me. I'm not gonna be a jerk and do stuff like that. But it was very tempting at some point. Though, if you play with me on Phasmophobia, I am reckless. You know what I love doing at Phasmophobia? I would just. So people are like, okay, I'm going inside the house. I'm going to go check out this corner. I would follow them without saying a word and just follow them really closely so that when they turn around, they just see me in my dumb face. The number of time I scared people doing that, it's so funny. They would absolutely hate me. But they would do it to me and I get scared and it would be, it would be fair. Oh, man. Well, yeah, a lot of stuff going on. It's crazy. I think do you think that internet is really beneficial for us to know more about these, paranormal activities, gather up intel and try to figure out what's going on? Do you think that it's very beneficial?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, there's a lot of people who actually still like going out doing like investigations themselves, even if it's maybe not someone who's a big channel, or people who do it on certain TV channels or cable networks. But there are people who do go out there, and maybe there are people who actually have situations and they try to show their living with what they're dealing with. Like there's some people on TikTok who do that. There was like one person I came across where apparently like I said, I'm not there to experience it myself, so I can't really believe it through a screen. But some of the happenings that go on in their house are like extreme. Like they want to say like it's a demon that's like infect like this in their house, like causing like all this ruckus. And it's kind of hard to like either believe or not believe, because sometimes it's like way past what you would think would happen with someone who's paranormal. But you know, we don't know still, and especially like when you come across all these like ghosts that are different, like demons or one, like especially how Phasmophobia has all those different types of ghosts. I didn't even know all those different type of ghosts existed until that game came out. But I knew demons existed, but you just don't know what to believe unless you experience it. But if it's a demon, I don't want to experience it.
Yeah. It's really cool because I think Phasmophobia is a really good reference to figure out like the different types of ghosts, and they give you really good information now. If this information true or not, I don't know, because it's a video game. There's fiction, like, do you actually like believe like a demon could be out there and take over somebody's body and take over? Do you actually believe in any of those stuff? Because I feel like ghosts and demons are like two separate things.
You know what? Another thing to think about, because like you do have exorcism exist. Now, there's sometimes you can't really explain how these people just like change from like, I'm not sure. It's hard because you're never there to experience like someone who is being possessed by an entity, or if they're just playing, because I don't know. And you can't tell unless you're experiencing yourself. But once again, I wouldn't want to be possessed by a demon, especially if after the stuff you look at what these people go through. Because what was that one story how a woman was like exorcised like 90 times and then she just like kind of died?
That's weird. Never heard about that one.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's an old story like from like the 70s. I have to go back and look at it. It's been a minute since I've read up on it myself, but she was like possessed and they went through so many exorcisms and I can't remember what actually killed her. It wasn't like natural causes. It was something else.
That's really odd. I don't really believe that there's like demons that can take over bodies. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I just need to be proven wrong, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's just based on like what people believe. I mean, if you don't really believe in like a heaven and hell, or you believe in, you know, if you're I can't even remember what I am anymore because I really don't care about religion that much. But I honestly just think it really just depends on what your belief is. If you are going to believe it, you're going to expect it to happen if you're going after an investigation to find something, or just something your mind is already telling you something's going to happen regardless if you're going to it. I feel like if you go on an investigation to try to find if afterlife exists or there are spirits that are just in the purgatory system that somehow that people figure out that exists, just go in with an empty mind, or like go in with an open mind and don't expect something to just happen, and just go about your way. And if something happens, something happens. If something doesn't happen, well, it kind of proves the point at that point, and then you just keep doing it until something maybe does happen.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people, if you don't go with an open-minded, some people, they will look for they will have questions and they will look for the answer they want. I had the word on the tip of my tongue. They're kind of like self-fulfilling prophecies. It's like if you're looking for something, you will find it if you look hard enough. And I think having an open mind is very important when you're going to paranormal investigation, because people tend to jump on conclusions really quickly. Oh, the chair moved, it's a ghost. No, there was a wind gust and something fell and knocked it over. That's what happened. And I would say most of the time that's what really happens. So yeah, I think having an open mind is really important.
I was gonna say, if you go to investigations, make sure all the windows are closed.
Good
just
point.
make sure the AC system is off. Just make sure, like, you're probably gonna die of heat stroke in the morning, but hey, it's nighttime, so it shouldn't be that bad. But AC system's off, all the fans are off. Anything that could blow wind into the house, just have it shut, just so that nothing can be, out of the question, at least for if something does happen.
Yeah. If there's breaker panels or anything that you can actually turn off, I would definitely turn these off and just depend on flashlights. And bring a jacket, because it can get cold for unexpected reasons, and batteries too. They drain themselves like crazy in these environments. I don't know why. When we went to the Randolph County Asylum, we actually had a Jacob's ladder, a little spark, and the guy said it would charge the energy for ghosts. But yeah. Go ahead. Would you like to one more thing before we end the episode?
I was gonna say that's the one thing too that people like to say that ghosts do. They drain the batteries out of anything that's electrical. Like the batteries go flatline quickly. Maybe I don't know. There's a lot of questions, and some of the things you said, like it kind of like teeters on like maybe there were, but nothing really physical happened, and that's what I wanted to see too. But electrical wise, maybe.
Yeah. I kind of believe there's some sort of link, but I can tell you for sure the batteries were draining unexpectedly on their cameras. And the guys, they were like, no, these are supposed to last an hour, not 5 minutes. They were kind of freaking out, but they brought a bunch. But yeah, so anything else you'd like to add, Whiplash, before we end the episode?
I think I'm good. Just be careful if you go and investigate this Halloween.
Yeah, please stay safe.
Yeah,
all right,
don't
then.
get yourself in trouble, and don't break into any places to try to do any investigations, because it won't be worth it.
Yeah, make sure you're authorized to go to these places. If you're going to be doing paranormal activities on your own, first of all, you shouldn't be by your own. Second, make sure you're actually authorized on the property, because it can be owned by somebody, and this trip can end up in a very bad situation. So please make sure you got the proper authorizations and have the proper safety equipment, and let people know what you're doing, so that if something happened to you, they can start searching for you. If something were to happen, you could hurt yourself, go through a floor. There's a lot of things that can happen in those old houses and old places. So please stay safe and have backups. Yeah. Well, I think this concludes the episode. Thank you for joining us through the unknown. It is that time of the month where we will be doing more Halloween-like episodes. Be sure to stay tuned for the last week of October, because we're going to do something quite different and exciting. So see you guys next week on Top Dogs. You guys take care and have a lovely day and a lovely night. And yeah, spooky time.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. And we're good. Man, I was so nervous to do this whole thing by myself. I was starting to run out of questions.
Then she comes back in with that voice.
Oh man. Oh, that was fun though. Oh, there's so many things I could have told about the story, but I could have spent the whole episode just talking on my own. So.
Are you really just cheating? Right. Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
What did you guys think? Did you like the episode?
Yeah, seemed good so far.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's a very good topic.